What's up, guys, and welcome to the doctor's office. I am Dr. Kaori Knight, here to give you the proper diagnosis and prognosis for comic book characters that you should know about and you might not. So today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite Black comic book characters. She's coming all the way from Valiant Comics, or Valiant Entertainment as they are calling themselves, and her name is Amanda McKee, aka Livewire. So Livewire is a powerful psyot who is in control of any kind of machinery. All machinery, it doesn't matter, which makes her a technopath. And a psyot, if you haven't read any of the Valiant comics, a psyot is basically like a psionic being, somebody who has like extremely powerful mental abilities and psychic abilities, and they apply it to different parts of their powers. Hers being technology, which again makes her a technopath. So kind of just a really small summary. She is part of the Harbinger Foundation, or at least she was. She was loyal to Toyo Hara, who was the person who ran the Harbinger Foundation. However, she did go against him when she felt like his power needed to be checked. And she's also part of the team Unity and is one of the superheroes on that team. She made her first appearance back in 2012, and she was created by Joshua Dysart and Kaori Evans, and I'm really hoping I'm saying their names right. And she first shows up in Harbinger Volume 2, number 3. So getting into her history, Amanda was orphaned at a really young age, and Toyo Hara had came and taken her in and taken her to the Harbinger Foundation because he absolutely was in love with her abilities at that point. And she was raised under him and believed in his vision about the world and was completely devoted to him. That is until a character or a person named Peter Stanchek had showed up at the Harbinger Foundation and tested all of Toyo Hara's limits. Now, while Amanda was there at the Harbinger Foundation, she rose to the highest ranks that she could, took the name Livewire, and when Peter Stanchek showed up, his sheer just like rebelliousness and charisma and his ability to test the limits of Toyo Hara and bring out all of those super controlling tendencies he had really kind of impressed her and started to open up her eyes a little bit, because she felt like there needed to be a balance between Toyo Hara's immense power and just everything else that was happening, because at this point it was almost like he was in control of the entire world and had everybody going like just being held hostage. Livewire went ahead and helped Peter Stanchek escape, and then took herself and went into exile. A few months later, a man named Eric of Dacia had claimed Romania and his people's homeland and was on the verge of starting a global conflict, and Toyo Hara decided to reach out and contact Livewire and ask her if she would join the team Unity, which was a strike force team that he was creating, and in order for it to be a successful team, he needed Livewire. So he decided to ask her. She accepted. Don't really know if she accepted it on different terms or whatever, but she did accept it, and her power as a technopath, she used that to take control of the Exo Manowar suit from Eric, don it herself, and end the conflict essentially on her own. Now, while she was in the Exo Manowar suit, she was basically enhancing her powers to the point where she was able to access all of the information at the Harbinger Foundation, and she found Toyo Hara's deepest, darkest secrets. With all of those things revealed to her, she saw the true extent of his evil and decided that it was time for her to go. So she convinced the rest of the Unity team to turn against him, which pissed him off entirely. And her and the rest of the team left the Harbinger Foundation behind completely. So she joined Ninjak, the Eternal Warrior, and Exo Manowar, and formed a new Unity team. So at one point, the team ended up going against a man named Dr. Silk, who had created a hybridized mimetic biological virus which could overwrite the mind, essentially, of any individual. She ended up finding out that she was immune to Silk's virus, and for a very interesting reason. When she put on the Exo Manowar suit, it started to biologically replace pieces of her. So it's definitely like a virus where it infects you and it starts replacing your cells with bits and pieces of itself until it's fully replicated within your body, damages you, and essentially turns you into like an exo Man-of-War suit of your own. So you would literally essentially just be all robot with no mind. When she found that out, she was able to use her psionic abilities to stop it from replicating inside of her body and kind of create a cure for her and Eric, who had also had the suit on as well. And it was doing the exact same thing to him. After the Armor Hunters invasion, the team ended up going public, and Livewire took on the public role of leader, and they of course went on all kinds of different missions, and they took threats from Warmonger as well as one of the escaped Armor Hunters named Helix, and they secretly adopted the Armor Hunter's sentient alien spacecraft called Gen GR. After all of that was said and done, the team ended up actually disbanding because of the death of their teammate, the Eternal Warrior. And so at this point, Livewire has decided to go solo. While she was working solo, she had joined the international effort to stop Toyo Hara from making a Psionic-only nation on the Somali coast, which also led her to Major Charlie Palmer's hardcore team to investigate why Toyo Hara was trying to hack into the Project Rising Spirit satellites. While looking into all of this stuff, she discovered that he was trying to import his equipment for his space elevator program into the Foundation Zone, having it under the disguise of humanitarian aid. So she had to basically figure out how to tell people that basically the person who owns all of the tech of the world is actually trying to import all of these items into this Foundation Zone so that he can build a space elevator program, which is essentially going to just it's his version of taking over the world and making a Psionic only nation. To be perfectly honest, he sounds like Magneto at this point. And how is she going to tell the world that her one-time mentor is a fucking supervillain? As a technopath, one of Amanda Key's, aka Livewire's, best abilities is remote telemorphing. And that was basically her ability to psionically link and interface and control any piece of technology, cell phone, computer, whatever, what have you. And she could do it to any form. So at one point in the comic books, she was kind of being attacked. It was either attacked or being filmed. And she basically took control of everybody's cell phone. Right? So that's one of her abilities. She's also a master martial artist, as well as having genius level intellect. While she was under Toyo Hara, she learned almost everything imaginable, and she is essentially a genius. She is also a weapons expert, and she has her own XO Nano Suit, and that's the orange and red suit that she wears when she goes on her missions. She designed it after the XO Man-of-War suit that she had fought Eric in, and along with that, she uses her XO Nano Suit to control what's inside of her from wearing the XO Man-of-War suit. So where do we go from here with her? We haven't really seen anything new from Valiant Comics or Valiant Entertainment. I'm really hoping that they come back in force, especially with Livewire, because she is such an amazing character. They wrote her really well. Her stories are amazing. At one point, she goes undercover. That's one of the covers of one of the comic books. 100%, I would love to see her come back because this is a really great comic book character. And she does resonate with some people. When you start reading her stories and getting into her background and how she didn't really have anybody except for this one person to latch onto, and then she ends up finding out that the only family that she's ever really had is actually a fucking supervillain, what are you to do? But hopefully you guys have been properly diagnosed and prognosed, and that is Amanda Key, aka Livewire, from Valiant Entertainment / Valiant Comics, and thank you for coming to the doctor's office.